morning, my name is Maria Luna and welcome to Maria High School News. Today's topic, we will be talking about hunger. Let's start off. What is chronic hunger? This is not part of a normal human experience at all whatsoever. Those who are chronically hungry never have enough food to give the body the nutrients that they need to maintain itself properly. Worldwide, more than 1 billion people do not have access to food and water they need. Some are lacking in daily nourishment that they can barely do anything they usually would do. That means they do not have enough energy to go to school and learn. Chronic hunger occurs everywhere in the world, as in the rich nations, as in the poor. But the chronically hungry people of the world share more common characteristics. For example, they are poor. That means they have no money to be able to take care of themselves. They lack access to social services such as education and healthcare. They lack political power, and they are often victims of injustice, oppression, and poor government planning. They often live in remote rural areas or are members of ethnic minority groups. They live and die, for the most part, in the developing countries of the southern hemisphere. However, chronic hunger is at its worst in Africa, which has the highest portion of hungry people, 1/3 of its population. Of the 7 million children who die each year from hunger-related causes, 5 million are African. The Asia-Pacific region has the highest number of hungry people, 528 million. Though the United States is the world's most economically developed country, it is not immune to chronic hunger. Chronic hunger impacts 30 million Americans, including 12 million children. 1 out of every 8 children in the United States suffer from chronic hunger. Thank you, Maria, for that wonderful information. Hello, everyone, and my name is Anna, and I will be talking to you about the 2 forms of chronic hunger. Chronic hunger has 2 basic forms. Starvation is the most severe, while malnourishment is the most widespread. Let's start with starvation. Starvation occurs when the body does not receive enough calories to maintain itself. The metabolism slows down and the body begins to feed on itself. In other words, lacking food, the body's own fats, muscles, and tissues become the body's fuel. The body actually consumes itself and quickly deteriorates. Technically, starvation begins to occur when an individual has lost 1/3 of his or her normal body weight. When the loss goes beyond 40%, death is near. However, malnourishment is the most common form of chronic hunger. Malnourishment may not be obvious to an observer, but it is a silent killer nonetheless. A victim of malnourishment gets enough calories to prevent his or her body from feeding on itself. But the diet of malnourishment person is extremely limited, often consisting of just 3 or 4 foods. Malnourishment saps a person's strength and leaves his or her vulnerable to many life-threatening diseases. There are many myths about chronic hunger. One of them is that there is not enough food for too many people. Wrong. It is commonly assumed that there is simply not enough food to feed so many people. This, however, is definitely false. In fact, there is enough food grown worldwide to supply every child and woman and man with 3,600 calories a day, enough to cause weight gain. Another assumption is that hunger is caused by droughts and natural disasters. But the people of the world have fed themselves for centuries despite the droughts, the floods, or however the weather was. Various traditional cultures have developed strategies for coping with loss due to natural disasters. For example, they have collectively stored food and distributed among themselves during periods of major crop failure. Today, disruptions such as civil wars interfere with the traditional life and the coping strategies that have been developed. In addition, many natural disasters are actually caused by human action, such as the droughts in Africa caused in large part of the elimination of forests. And perhaps the cruelest myth is the belief that poor people are too lazy to earn money that they need for food. Most of the hum- most of the hungry most of the hungry poor in Most of the hungry poor in this country either work at jobs to pay unjust low wages or are unable to find jobs. As you will see in looking at the real causes of hunger, we will see that hunger is not unedible. It can be solved and prevented if we have the will to do so. I hope this information has really opened your eyes and has taught you a little bit more about hunger around the world. Hunger is a problem, and we treat it like it's really not anything to be concerned about, when it really is. If we're aware and we know how to stop it, we could really make a difference in the world. But that's all we have for today. And thank you, and this was Anna.